Welcome, friends. I'm Jim Hughes, bringing you this edition of Oxford News This Week. Today's headlines: a longtime public servant of Oxford passes away. The Oxford boys baseball team becomes a 4-time award winner. And in our last story, we celebrate canine contributions. Sit back, stay tuned, because you're watching Oxford News This Week. Welcome back, Oxford News This Week. 13-time Village of Oxford President Billy Joe Bolin has passed away at the age of 89. For 40 years, Bolin dedicated himself to the Oxford Village, serving the Village Council, Planning and Beautification Commissions, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. He was a longtime member of the Rotary Club of Oxford, and in 2000, the Oxford Chamber of Commerce honored Bolin as Citizen of the Year for his dedication to the public service and betterment of his community. Bolin was a founder of the 2 high school basketball programs at Lake Orion Baptist School, former Oxford Christian Academy, and over 32 seasons, Bolin led his teams to 2 state championships, 2 national tournaments, and over 15 of his former players would later on become ordained ministers. Our thoughts with the family. Oxford's Downtown Development Authority completing a project will place more furniture and fun near the Northeast Quadrant in downtown Oxford. The backside of the Northeast Quadrant, which hosts Red Knapp's restaurant and Nora's Bridal, is planned location for seating in a games area. Last year, the DDA received a Consumers Energy Foundation grant to transform that area into a multi-use community space. They plan to use the money to install tables, chairs, and a propane fire pit, and a cornhole setup, outdoor lighting, and music and various children's games in that same location. The last portion of the flat concrete was actually filled in last month, thanks to the work conducted by the Birmingham Seal Coat. Last week, construction on the brick section of the iron archway began, and the DDA started to place furniture in the space and clean up surrounding the greenery. All of this community use items are ready to be installed as soon as the construction is finished, so look out for updates in the upcoming weeks on the project's progress. 2 weeks ago, the Oxford Township Parks and Rec partnered with the Oxford Fire and Oakland County Sheriff Departments to bring a program known as Safety Town to children. According to the Parks and Rec website, Safety Town was designed to introduce kids ages 4 through 6 to correct and use the safety services through stimulated situations and direct instruction. The children learned police, bicycle, bus, and fire safety protocol through the 4-day educational experience at the Seymour Lake Park. Deputy Scott Rafalski and Justin Barnes, also who serve as the Oxford School Resource Officer, taught about the importance of seat belts, staying away from strangers. The children learned how to use a real fire hose through the firefighter and paramedic Ricky Dvorak. The instructions came finally. A longtime Oxford school bus driver, Jen Tolbert, explained how to keep everyone safe while riding on a school bus. The children received their official Safety Town diplomas at the end of the program. To learn more about other educational and community programs Oxford Township Parks and Rec hosts, you can visit their website, real easy to take down, oxparkrec.org. Again, that should appear below my face here. Lake Point Community Church in Oxford recently held its annual Veteran Barbecue and Picnic. A huge turnout with veterans, family and friends, and volunteers celebrated the free event with food, prizes, music, and fellowship. OCTV's Chuck Cameron on site was there, and he had the opportunity to talk with the Veterans Ministry leader, Bob Tenbosch, one of the event organizers and a Vietnam War veteran.
I'm here with Bob Tenbosch.
Yes.
Bob, what's going on here, my friend?
Well, we're having our annual Veterans Picnic.
Yep.
This is our 15th year. This is our first year that we're having a picnic inside. Mother Nature wasn't cooperative with us this morning, but I'm just totally blown away with the people that show up. We have over 300 people show up. So
that's quite a crowd in there.
I am very, very thankful for that. Yep. What we also decided to do was bus in or transport about 115 veterans that live in homeless shelters throughout the Tri-County area.
Outstanding.
So, yeah, and they love it.
Guys who might not get out to the out to the suburbs occasionally,
Yep.
get on the bus and came, huh?
That's exactly right. And they've been coming every year. They love it. So we're just totally excited about it.
So you've been at this 15 years.
Yes,
How
sir.
has it changed from the beginning to today?
In the beginning, we had about 50 vets and 75 volunteers.
Really?
Now we have probably about 100 volunteers and 300 vets and families. So it's grown exponentially.
I saw over in the corner there a group of folks looking like they're praying for some people. Is that one of the things that's possible here?
Yes, that's one of our ministries called Sidewalk Servants.
Excellent.
And they're here every year to offer prayer to anyone that need in prayer.
It's funny how many of us need prayer.
They told me that they never had as many people come to their tent ever. So this has been just a blessing.
Something special. Well,
Yes.
we sure appreciate you letting us come in. I'm not a vet, but my little brother was, and so
Oh, God bless.
I'm standing in his spot.
Thank you. Thank you very
Well,
much.
thank you, Bob, very much.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
The Oakland County Sheriff's Office is asking for the public to help in locating a driver who fled a fatal hit-and-run scene on the morning of Saturday, July 29. Todd Lawrence Frank, a 59-year-old Pontiac resident, was the victim of the collision. Frank was walking on Auburn Avenue near the intersection of South Astor Street in Pontiac just around 12:45 in the morning. An eastbound SUV hit him and left the scene. Police have described the vehicle as a mid-sized light in color. Police additionally believe the SUV could be damaged on its right front passenger side, including a headlight lens, hood, or even a fender. Oakland County Sheriff's Office detectives are offering a $2,000 reward for any information leading to the arrest or witnesses or anyone with information on this SUV crash. Others have asked you can also call Crime Stoppers of Michigan at 1-800-SPEAK-UP. All callers, again, will remain anonymous. Last month, the Miller hearing of the Oxford High School shooter began. This type of hearing conducted under the special circumstances of a minor convicted of a first-degree murder charge will determine whether the shooter will receive a life without parole sentencing. Under current Michigan law, he could be given a minimum sentence of between 25 and 40 years, after which he would have to be eligible for parole. Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald agrees it should be exceedingly rare for a minor to be sentenced with life without parole. In a difference of opinion, prosecutors argue that due to the extremely premeditated nature of the tragedy, the evidence shows the shooter deserves the harshest possible outcome. Oakland County Judge Kwame Rowe set aside at least 2 days for the Miller hearing, but according to CBS News, he is not expected to make an immediate decision. Following the Miller hearing, the sentencing hearing will be set. The final result of the arguments will, because the events are so close to our hearts here in Oxford, OCTV will not be traveling to the courtroom to provide the coverage at either hearing. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer signed a $57 billion state omnibus budget for the upcoming fiscal year on the July 31st. Called the omnibus budget for many purposes, the new state budget is the first in 40 years to be developed under the full Democratic control over the executive and legislative branches. Governor Whitmer traveled to Wyandotte Fire Station 1 to hold the bill signing ceremony named and nicknamed Make It in Michigan budget. In late July, the governor approved the $24 billion education budget, bringing the grand total for the budget and education budgets to over $81 billion. The new budget invests a record governmental surplus in projects that the governor believes will impact Michigan's economic future. The budget expands to tuition-free college programs, including funding for various infrastructure and job creation and developments, and even provides an opportunity for the fourth grader in Michigan to take a trip to the state park. The budget goes into the effect this upcoming fiscal year. That fiscal year begins on October 1st. In our Behind the Lens segment, we have a very special picture here. It's called featuring Beach Day Brothers, Oliver and Max Burke. Take a look at these photos with the temperatures climbing near the 90s. Oxford public beaches proved to be a way to keep cool. Oliver, aged 1, opted to play further away in the sand, while 4-year-old Max was right in the watery action If you're interested in sharing your summertime snapshots with us, email manager@occtv.org to have your chance at your picture in our Behind the Lens segment here on Oxford News This Week. In our last story, a very special story celebrating canine contributions. Up next, Dave Kenny, you'll have Auto Talk and Science in the News. You're watching Oxford News This Week right here on Oxford Community Television.
Hello, this is Lomas Brown, ex-Detroit Lion, and you're watching OCTV. That's Oxford Community TV. Check it out.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from Automotive News. Toyota's venerated Land Cruiser nameplate rejoins the brand's U.S. lineup next year in a trimmed-down and less expensive form, much closer to the off-roader's roots than its bloated predecessors, which had evolved to overlap similar body-on-frame Lexus models. The 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser will be smaller, more nimble, and equipped with a hybridized turbocharged powertrain, a host of infotainment and driver assistant features, and a boxy look that evokes its early heritage. Imported from Japan and based on the Land Cruiser Prado that Toyota sells in Japan and other global markets, badged in the U.S. as the Lexus GX, the U.S. version of the Land Cruiser will start in the mid-$50,000 range, Toyota said. In comparison, when Toyota suspended U.S. sales of Land Cruiser in 2021 after a 63-year run, the low-volume off-roader started at $86,880, including shipping. This icon belongs in our lineup, Toyota Division Head Dave Criss said in a written statement. He goes on to say that for 2024, Land Cruiser returns to its origin with a heritage-inspired design paired with the legendary capability and durability Land Cruiser is known for, and it will take even more customers on adventures across the globe as it has done for generations. The 2024 Land Cruiser is 4.4 inches narrower than the previous version and 1.2 inches shorter, and it's built on the automaker's global F1 body-on-frame platform. With ground clearance of up to 8.7 inches, it has an approach angle of up to 31 degrees, max departure angle of 22 degrees, and a breakover angle of 25 degrees. All information for off-roaders. Under the hood, it will be powered by a turbocharged 2.4-liter engine mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission that has an integrated 48-horsepower electric motor and small separate battery. The iForce Max hybrid powertrain generates up to 365 horsepower and 460 pounds-feet of torque, and fuel economy will be revealed in the future. Toyota will unveil a double wishbone front suspension with twin-tube shocks and a multi-link and coil spring setup in the rear. The 2024 Land Cruiser will feature full-time four-wheel drive with an electronically controlled 2-speed transfer case and center locking differential. Toyota says the 2024 Land Cruiser will be capable of towing up to 6,000 pounds. In terms of safety, the Land Cruiser will come standard with Toyota Safety Suite 3.0, the automaker's suite of driver assistant technologies that includes lane keeping, dynamic cruise control, automated high beam headlights, and pre-collision assist with pedestrian detection. The 2024 Land Cruiser will arrive in U.S. dealerships in the spring. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
Canines Stray Rescue does just that. Rescue stray dogs for new families. But they need your help. Become a volunteer at Canine Stray Rescue League of Michigan. Take dogs for walks, help them socialize with others, and help them get adopted. Fill out an application and help a family add a new member today.
Welcome back to Oxford News This Week. In this week's sports updates, yes, we have sports. Oxford High School boys baseball team recently won a national award. Because the team's coach, Dave Herrick, is a member of the American Baseball Coaches Association, the boys were eligible nominees for the association's Team Academic Excellence Award. The award honors both college and high school baseball programs that achieve a cumulative combined grade point average of 3.0 or higher, or on a 4-point scale. Wildcats ended their season with a 3.68 combined GPA, becoming the 4-time winners of the Academic Excellence Award, both on the field and academically. They are one of only 8 high schools in Michigan to have earned this honor. Way to go, on the field and off the field. The Addison Township Firefighters Association is hosting its 11th annual golf outing. That'll take place on Saturday, August 26th. Tickets are $110. That includes 18 holes of golf, lunch, and dinner. Prizes will be available. The outing will take place at the Devil's Ridge Golf Club at 3700 Metamora Road in Oxford. The event begins with a shotgun start at 9 a.m. and registration begins at 8 a.m. The association is seeking teams of 4, and the deadline for payment is August 18th. The ticket form can be found at the Addison Township Fire Department Facebook page. They accept checks, and the checks need to be made out to ATFFA, or those interested can email Addison Township Fire at yahoo.com and request a PayPal invoice. Additionally, the association is offering ways to promote the business at the outing. They are searching for both hole sponsors and donations for door and raffle prizes. The donation form can also be found on their Facebook page, and a potential hole sponsor, you can contact the fire department directly at 248-628-5600. Good stuff there. If you can be a sponsor, that would be very helpful. In addition to the golf outing, the Addison Township Firefighters Association is hosting its first ever Chuck Johnson Skedaddle 5K and 10K race on Sunday, September 24th. The event honors the late Addison Township Fire Department Sergeant Charles Gunner Johnson, who served the department for well over 17 years. He passed away in May of 2021. The funds raised from the event will go directly to support the Great Lakes Burn Camp and Chuck Johnson Scholarship awarded to one of the Oxford High School students who will run, who will then start at 9 a.m. The run will start at 9 a.m. in the old fire station in the downtown Leonard area, 23 East Elmwood Street in downtown Leonard. The participants with the best costume will win a prize. Participants will receive a commemorative shirt from the event. The cost is $40 to participate in the 5K, $60 to participate in the 10K. Registration and payment are due by September 20th. There is no walk-up registration. The registration, again, has to be handled prior. The link located at Addison Township, Addison TWP Fire Department Facebook page. That's the Addison Township Facebook page. Firefighters Association is also looking for an event sponsor and volunteers for this as well. Contact them to help out if you would like to be a sponsor on the run. 248-628-5600. Great stuff there with sports. The last story and a goodbye coming up. I know Dave Kenny's probably got one more segment. You're watching Oxford News This Week on Oxford Community Television.
Your Marine Corps' way of life is to defend the American way of life. Every day, we take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from New Scientist. Hearing aids could mitigate cognitive decline in older adults, but only in those who are particularly at risk for developing dementia. Researchers have long speculated that hearing loss may raise the risk of dementia among older people, possibly by making them more socially isolated or by directly affecting regions of the brain that are involved in memory. However, this was largely based on observational research that suggested a correlation between hearing loss and dementia rather than work showing that the former causes the latter. It could be that people with dementia are less able to arrange hearing checkups or remember to wear hearing aids. Now, Frank Lynn at Johns Hopkins University in Maryland and his colleagues have conducted a randomized control that directly compares effects of wearing and not wearing a hearing aid on cognitive decline. Out of 977 U.S. adults aged between 70 and 84 with similar levels of hearing loss, around half were given hearing aids to wear daily, while the rest just received general health advice. None of the participants showed signs of significant cognitive impairment at the start of the study. 3 years later, there were no differences between the two groups when tested on their logic skills, word fluency, memory, and decision-making. The lack of a difference may be because 739 of the participants were volunteers who were already in generally good health and signed up to the trial after seeing it advertised. If you use adverts to find people, it tends to be the people with more initiative and resources who take part, and they're the ones who are already less vulnerable to cognitive decline, says Gil Livingston at the University of College in London. The remaining 238 people were asked to take part after already being enrolled in trial investigating the causes of arteriosclerosis, the thickening or hardening of the arteries due to plaque buildup. All of these participants had various heart-related risk factors, putting them in worse health than the other 739 volunteers. These participants also tended to be older women who lived alone, had a lower income, and had less educated background, and also had higher rates of diabetes and blood pressure, all of which have been linked to dementia. Within this group, 120 of the participants wore hearing aids and 118 only received the health's advice. When the researchers focused on these individuals, they found that those who wore a hearing aid experienced 48% less cognitive decline over the 3 years when assessed via the same tests. This is interesting because it gives us a clearer idea of the population who we should intervene in, says Livingston. If you don't intervene in everyone, you don't intervene in everyone, you intervene in the people where you might make a difference, at least in the short term. If the results are confirmed with further research, hearing aids may be a relatively simple, inexpensive way of tackling rising dementia rates. Having a hearing aid is not like an intravenous injection, says Livingston. It doesn't have either the cost or the likely side effects. Julia Sarant at the University of Melbourne in Australia says that seeing a result like this in a randomized controlled trial could raise awareness of the importance of addressing hearing impairments. The evidence will hopefully spur people to use hearing aids, she says. It's well known that on the average, most people wait 7 to 10 years to seek help with their hearing, and around 80% of people who could benefit don't use them. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm putting my hearing aids back in. I'm Dave Kenny.
Back with you on Oxford News this week. For our last story, we're highlighting a celebration of the canine contributions. The All for Oxford Resiliency Center just celebrated a very Possum birthday. I was told to say it like that. Wiley, the Center of Emotional Support Dog, turned two on the 29th of July. The Golden Retriever became, again, the Resiliency Center employee in January. Not only does she support visitors emotionally, but she also serves as a grounding influence when they are having feelings of anxiety or undergoing any type of crisis. Again, Wiley celebrations welcome even more furry friends when the comfort dogs from the Oakland County Sheriff's Office came to participate in the fun. She even had her own birthday cake. I wonder what that was all about. The All for Oxford Resiliency Center is a resource that constantly strives to provide long-term healing through the community connections and opportunities that promote mental and emotional well-being. To learn more about their programs and events, visit them at oxford.org. You know what I'm going to say about that? It's Possum. Very Possum. As always, we'd like to thank our Possum news gathering sources this week. News gathered from the Charter Township of Oxford, the Oxford Downtown Development Authority, the Oxford Community Schools, and the Addison Township Fire Department Facebook pages and websites. The Oxford Leader, the Oakland Press, and also CBS News this week. Click on Detroit and the Detroit Free Press. This week's photo credits go out to CJ Carnacchio, Don Rush of the Oxford Leader, and TZR Sports. OCTV can be viewed on Spectrum Charter Channel 191, Channel 99 on the ATT Uverse. Also, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, and Roku, as well as if you have a show idea you would like to volunteer at OCTV, give our office a call at 248-628-9658. A very special thank you to our producer and director, Kyle Snage, videographer Al Campbell, news writer Allison Miller, and of course our editor who always edits it, Marissa Rushka, and also program coordinator Dan Weiss, and our station manager Terry Stiles. For everyone here at OCTV, I am Jim Hughes, hoping you have a safe week, and I invite you back next week when we will take a look at another Possum Oxford News this week. Have a great week, everyone.